Huddle Up Moms began in Southwest Virginia with the mission of empowering mothers through education, connection, and support. Through services from a diaper bank to peer support to pre- and postnatal education, Hum changes lives. The stories you're about to see were recorded at the 5 Points Music Sanctuary in Roanoke. Thanks to these brave women for being willing to share these stories.
She's a mother of two. She moved here 2 years ago with her husband, Andrew, from Houston, Texas, and is loving raising her kids in Roanoke. She's an actress, singer, teacher, and theater director. Hands together, Louise Gerhartz.
Okay, we're just gonna dive right in. But first, will you take a deep breath with me? Because I need it. I don't know about you guys. Let it out your mouth. Oh, thank you. Okay. I used to do that with my theater kids at the beginning of class, and it would ease them up a little bit. Me too. Okay. It's a random weekday. And my oldest, Olivia, is about 3 months old. It's probably when that picture was taken. She and I are home together. My husband, Andrew, is working long hours at the hospital. I am feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated. My boobs hurt. And I am dreading my next pumping session tethered to my medulla. Not to mention the intense constipation after giving birth, which was just a super fun surprise that I had not accounted for. I am on the verge of tears at all times. I am equal parts hungry, exhausted, and terrified. Terrified of what, you may be asking? And the answer is everything. I'm terrified of everything. Cut to Andrew coming home from work. He hops in to change Liv, and he goes to take off one of her little socks. He grabs it from the toe, and he starts pulling, and finally, yep, off it comes, off her little foot, and I lose my ever-loving mind. I start shouting, How? How could you have stretched out the sock? It's not going to fit her anymore. It seems so wild to me. He was just going to stretch out this sock so carelessly. I stop because breathing for a second, and I realize he's looking at me like I have 3 heads. Spoiler alert, this was not anything to do with the sock. My mental health was not in a good way, and I just was not okay. I needed to figure out what was going on. So, in all my spare time, I'm scouring the interwebs, and finally I come across this term, postpartum anxiety. Reading more about it, I was like, oh, that's me. That's me. That's what's going on. Why have I never heard of this before? Now, hear me say that severe generalized anxiety disorder with OCD tendencies and we go way back. But postpartum anxiety, nope, never heard of it. So I'm feeling really defeated. Like somehow I failed, that I have missed this. Feeling really helpless. And so now, self-diagnosing, I think to myself, cool, what now? Now, already feeling so stretched thin that the idea of adding something else to do or something else to figure out is feeling insurmountable. And if one more person tells me to sleep when the baby sleeps, I'm going to smack them. Well, the snarky side of me is thinking, oh, yeah. So I'll fold laundry when the baby folds laundry. I'll wash the dishes when the baby washes the dishes. Okay, cool. As it was, becoming a parent in general, it continually left me looking for an adultier adult than me. This was imposter syndrome at its finest. But this was something that I could not fail at. I couldn't let my anxiety take over my parenting, because then my anxiety will become my daughter's anxiety, and I wasn't going to do that to her. So I was feeling really angry, and I'm feeling really resentful that my OB-GYN asked me at my 6-week postpartum appointment, the only postpartum appointment, mind you, are you feeling depressed? And I was like, no. And she was like, Godspeed. And that was kind of it. So even with all of the love, the support, and the care that I'm getting from my husband, my family, my friends, I was feeling so isolated and alone. I was dreading nighttime, dreading it when I knew I was going to be needed at all hours. this sleep-deprived delirium. It felt like this never-ending tunnel, this dark tunnel that I'm blindly groping my way through every night of my life at this point. And I'm feeling really disconnected from myself. My body is doing these things that it's never done before, and it all feels very weird. There's this chasm between me and my husband. We're ships passing in the night as he goes back to work. Not to mention finding time for the two of us to connect. Sex being the last thing on my mind. The very last. But I just mean like a hot second to just sit down and talk. And the truth is, I just couldn't get out of my own head. The fears, the intrusive thoughts, the stress, the constant checking, and then double checking everything. But it was the intrusive thoughts that really got me spiraling. She's gonna die in her sleep, and I'm not gonna know how to live. I'm gonna drop her, and her head is just gonna split open like a coconut. He's gonna drop her. Better take her back. I was so scared to walk near the stair railing on the second floor because what if she fell over it? So I had to hug the wall going down the stairs when I was carrying her for months. And I felt like I couldn't stop these thoughts from happening. So I grappled and I clawed at anything that felt like I could control it. I obsessively prayed. I begged God, please, please, please don't let these things happen. I pumped so much milk that I kid you not, my body must have thought we had triplets. I overreacted to things like a stretched out sock. And not having anything to compare it to, right? I thought, okay, this is just what being a mom is like. This is what my life is now. There was this quiet, shameful acceptance that this is what everyone dealt with, right? I was just supposed to grin and bear it, just figure it out. It's what you're supposed to do. But deep down, I knew this wasn't how I was meant to actually be. This wasn't sustainable. I was so weary of the demands of parenthood and then also all the extra anxiety stuff that I was doing. I finally found myself a therapist, and I promised myself I was going to be completely honest. I was going to tell her things that felt like too much. I was going to set aside this fear of her telling me that I was crazy, that I was an unfit mother. And I remember her just looking at me in the eyes and being really earnest and just telling me, you don't have to feel like this. And it just felt like this huge weight was lifted and I had this big inhale. I could actually breathe again for a second. It's funny, I started anxiety medication. I started anti-anxiety medication. Who would take anxiety medication? Um, Thank you. Thank you. Uh, I was speaking candidly to Andrew. I was saying the intrusive thoughts out loud, voicing them instead of letting them fester and become malignant in my head. It helped take some of the power out of them. They weren't dictating my actions anymore. Andrew shared with me that sometimes he has thoughts like that too. I wasn't alone. I wasn't an unfit mother. It wasn't just me. I'm not crazy. 5 years later, when we dealt with unexplained secondary infertility, trying for our second, which also that feels great when the doctor's like, well, I don't know, right? And we were like, okay, cool, thank you. We went the IVF route. Anybody who has been through fertility issues or the process of IVF, you know that it is its own beast of exhaustion and uncertainty. It was brutal, but it brought about that sweet little baby boy right there in the middle. That's Jack. So I would do it all again in a heartbeat. I guess the reason I wanted to come up here and share this with you guys was because therapy and medication for anxiety has helped immensely. But it didn't take away the fears. They're still there, but they're not as loud. They're not driving the bus. I trusted myself to share these fears with people that love me, and I knew I wasn't alone. So truly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you guys for being here, for showing up to something like this where you know it was going to probably be a lot and real heavy and maybe crying, but yay, food and coffee, right? Like, thank you for showing up, for supporting Huddle Up Moms, and for letting this be a safe space to say things like this out loud, right? Because you're not alone. And thank you for letting me know that I'm not alone in all seasons of motherhood. We're not alone. Thank you, guys.